Sai Ram.
I offer my grateful pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. And once again stand here very humble, very privileged for the time allotted to me, for the chance given to me to share my faith and my inspirations that I found at Bhagwan's feet. We were talking about the D's yesterday, and we had covered 4 of them. They were discipline, and everything I learned was not from textbooks. For those of you coming for the first time, I just want to quickly summarize what we spoke. It's about how seeing Swami as a human being inspired me. It's very easy to make a god out of, because then you create that distance, and he doesn't want that distance. He wants us, Swami had often told us this beautiful story of the lessons from Mahabharata and Ramayana. He said, these are the lessons we learn. And at that point, it really didn't matter to me whether Ramayana and Mahabharata were true stories. The lessons always, the values always, they are eternal. The values never change. From writing a letter with a pen, now you're typing it on a keyboard. But what you write has never changed. The way you communicate has changed, but not what you, the content has never changed. You can still get angry on an email. So the values never change, and this distance that Swami was talking about, and he explains this in a beautiful story. He says, when Draupadi was being disrobed in the court of this evil king, Duryodhana, and she was crying, "Oh Krishna, who lives in Gokul and Mathura," she was thinking of all those days, and she said, "Where is Krishna from Gokul and Mathura? Please come and save me, Gokula Vihari, Mathura Vihari." And there was no answer. And she said, "Vrindavan Vihari, where are you?" No answer. Finally, out of sheer desperation, she said, "Hridaya Vihari, the one who resides in my heart, where are you?" And Krishna came right there, and she was blessed, and her shame was protected. So the story there, the point there was, yearn for God, but not think of God out there. Because when the moment you create that distance and say, "He is God, please listen to my prayer," He doesn't listen. Because you have created that distance. He's standing right next to you. And so that I found it's very easy, it was easy for me as a youngster to admire Swami as a human being, and to see that as a human being I cannot even match what he's doing. And that's why we talked about the intense, austere discipline that he followed in his private life, in his personal life. I've seen people, politicians and others who appear simple. They wear khadi. In India, it's at least that way. They wear khadi and dig a plant and think they are the farmers and take pictures. But then they go home and live a luxurious life. With Swami, it was opposite. He was out there sitting on a throne and all that, but inside, he was doing his own job. The towel that he used was what is called, it's from Kerala, the very thin towel, which is, Swami will say the Turkish towel doesn't absorb water, I don't like it. I like these thin cotton ones, which we used to wring it and dry it in his bathroom. That is what he used. So his ideas and his approach to life was extremely simple. What do I need? I need this, that's all. And we had to change Swami's toothbrush, because he would not ask, "I want a change of toothbrush." We'll have to watch at all that. He was in his own world. Whatever has to be done has to be done. So discipline was the first lesson I took home. Then discipline brought about determination. The amount of determination and willpower that Swami had, the focus that he had on what he has come for, was something that inspired me. The discrimination, the idea of setting priorities, what is important now, let us focus on that and do that, and let other things fall into place. The ability to discriminate, the ability to have a clear vision of what you want in life, that was amazing. That's something I carry home with me every day. If I want something, I say, let me make it clear in my head what I want. What is it? What is my goal? Let me make it more and more. So the effort to attain clarity in myself helps me in that discrimination ability. The Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya that we ask about is that clear, razor-sharp intelligence, which is again a gift. The mind is based on instinct. It jumps to taste, likes and dislikes. It's constantly here and there. But the intelligence is far more powerful. That is why you have different sheets that cover you. Your inner soul is, you have the Annamaya Kosha, which is the body, the Pranamaya Kosha, which is the life force, the Manomaya Kosha, which is the mind, and then you have the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intellect, which is very powerful. And that is within us, that tool is within us. I saw Swami using it. He used all these faculties just to show us that, hey, listen, you have all this too. He would tell us, if I came with 4 arms and Shankar and Chakra, you would put me in a museum. But an altar is now less than a museum. Let's think about it. An altar is no less than a museum, because I'm not saying don't build altar, but understand the philosophy behind it. I love altars too. But the fact that you put him up there, you're creating a distance between you and him. He wants us to emulate the way he lived. He wants us to emulate the qualities he had. And these are the qualities I took home. These are the qualities I took home. The amazing power to discriminate, the amazing power of detachment, which is how we ended. The detachment is something, it saw me at everything, and yet he was completely free, nothing bound him. That freedom is what I found gave that glow in Swami's face, the vibrancy in Swami's face. Otherwise, being stuck in that 4 walls day in and day out, with one small little part of one window open, and all the time living on with tube light, not even tube light, sorry, those 100-watt bulbs, would drive somebody insane. You know, the day I really felt bad for Swami was one of my first weeks. Swami would finish the evening aarati, he would go inside, he would have a quick dinner. By quick, I mean really quick. Because he ate very less, not because he ate fast. He ate very less. So he will sit with the VIPs and he will sit, one half a chapati will be there, or one small cup of the ragi will be there, one little bit of pickle. He always liked pickle. Like means what? A little bit will be there. And something like that, within less than 5 minutes, almost before the arati is getting over, he would have to finish his dinner there. So fast, he will, just that much only he will eat. And he will expect the VIPs, no, you eat. He'll take a couple of guests always with him to talk. So he will say, you eat. They'll say, no, Swami, we are also full. But obviously they can't eat when Swami is not eating. And many of them, after Swami would, immediately after his dinner, he would go upstairs. And then these guests will stay back. They'll say, Naina, I'm going for some more prasadam. So they'll go back and eat some more, because you can't eat when Swami is not eating. That's not the point of the story. But Swami would finish his dinner and go upstairs. And then what would happen is, because the place is so silent, you can hear every step, every cough, the ashram is very quiet. When the ashram is quiet, when the mandir is quiet, because the mandir is really, really quiet. Inside the mandir, when you hear about or read about living in the moment with Zen masters and all, this is really that kind of a life. You had to watch every little sound you made. If you cleared your throat a couple of times, later Swami will come and ask, Yavrali, Enduku, Bagleda Niku, are you not feeling well? What happened? Why are you cleaning your throat? He can hear it upstairs. And so we could hear everything that goes on upstairs. Even in Swami's voice, if he's speaking, he speaks very low, you'll hear the low drone of his voice. You won't make out what he's talking, but you can know Swami's talking. It's very quiet. So in that silence, in that evening for about 15 minutes, you will hear the rustle of his robe. At first I didn't understand what it was. Then the voice told me that Swami is having his evening walk after dinner. In that small little 10 feet room, he'd go up and down. That was his exercise. I was thinking, isn't that a big veranda up there? With open air, fresh air. How many of us think of all that vitamin D, fresh air, oxygen? And he wouldn't go, because then that will cause indiscipline in the ashram. People will get to know Sai Baba is walking, so they want his darshan. You know how it is. So he would walk in his own room, fan is off, and he will walk up and down. Then when this fan comes on, we know Swami has done his walk. So 15 minutes he'll be walk after dinner, good exercise, he will say. So it was very sweet of Swami, but that devotion that he had for his mission is what I want to talk about. The next D I learned from Swami is devotion. Devotion is something we think we are the ones who are supposed to be devoted. But I learned devotion from him. I learned how to be devoted from him. He taught, because he was devoted to his devotees. He was completely devoted to his students. He was devoted in the sense of when any function, for example, Shivratri was one of the times you really see a glow in Swami's face. Guru Purnima, sometimes Swami will be always very vibrant and very energetic. His birthday, of course, Swami. And all these festivals, Swami will be, his main concern is devotees, where will they stay? How are you going to stay? And not only just ask people, have you made arrangements? He will say, take the car, I will go. He will go personally see personally go and personally inspect, go into the sheds, inspect everything. Even as late as when the alumni meet or something came, I believe Swami took the car out and went and wanted to see where the boys are going to stay. I want to see. So that means something. That means something. He was very devoted. I remember once when I sat and 3 or 4 years later when the admission for the institute was completed and there was a whole bunch of admission forms done and boys were selected. There was a custom, I don't know if it's still a custom, there was a custom, they would take it to Swami. Because Swami liked to see all the files. Maybe later on they bought a USB drive and got it flashed, I don't know. I'm kidding. But they used to take all the admission forms and they will go to Swami, and I've expected that was the only time I saw this, and I was amazed at why Swami is doing it. I never understood why. Except I thought how devoted he is to what he's doing. Every single small thing mattered. Every small thing mattered. That's why when actually the devotees were putting tapes, making sure everything is clean. It appeared clean, but we had Brother Sai Krishna was vacuuming. I understood how important it is. Every small thing is a reflection of your spirituality. Even when you get up and you make the bed, it's a reflection of your spirituality. When you push the dust under the carpet because the guests won't see it, that's a reflection of your spirituality. So, every little thing I learned from Swami is, you don't do it for somebody else. You do it because this is who you are. I believe in cleanliness, so I want to be clean. I only clean when people are going to come home. But with Swami, it was very different. So, the registrar brings this whole bunch of admission forms. Swami says, keeps on a lamp. And for the next 15 minutes, it was very quiet. Swami went through each and every, there's a small passport size photograph on each form. So he went with each form. He was looking at each and every photograph for maybe 2 seconds each. And everybody was waiting quietly. It was, I don't know what it was. Was he blessing each one? I don't know what it was. But it was as if these boys are coming to my institute, let me see them. And each one he had to see. When I mentioned this incident, I don't know where, it's one of the retreats, one of the regional somebody had come and he told me how he took a list of some people and he wanted to get it blessed by Swami, and it had 5 pages of only names, and how Swami stopped the golf cart, called him and asked him what it is, and then Swami kept that 5 pages on his lap and he went like this, turned the page, went like this. And our man was wondering, what is Swami doing? It's just a list of people. No, he was not choosing. He was just looking at all the names. He was glancing at each one. So once you know it's a list of names, you just see, yeah, okay, good. I would do that. That's why I'm not there. But the devotion that Swami had is amazing. And that reflected in everybody around Swami. And there were saints. And I see so many small faces, so I want to tell a beautiful story of Sai Gita, the elephant that Swami's pet elephant, Sai Gita. I love this story because I was involved. All these stories are my own personal experiences. And Sai Gita was, later on she got this royal VIP spa place under the coconut mango grove, which is all nice and shady, and she had a nice water place for her to. But before that, she also went through her own sadhana, I think. So she was tied to a single tree outside the Gokulam. The Gokulam is the dairy of Swami. And behind our hostel, there was a single tree near the Gokulam, and all Sai Gita would always be tied to that. So this was one of my very early years. I saw Sai Gita, it was a summer afternoon, and Swami was not in Puttaparthi. It was pretty empty, the hostel was empty. And so I looked out of the window, I saw Sai Gita just standing in the sun. And for some reason I said, oh my gosh, poor thing, must be feeling hot and tired. And after a few hours I looked again, she was still standing in the sun. I said, what if she's thirsty or something? Somebody has to give her water. Somehow I had this weird quality, I think everything is less, I have to do something about it. If I see something, I should have said, maybe there is a Mahut, I'm sure he knows what to do. But somehow I felt I had to do something. So I went to the Gokulam, and I'd never been near Sai Gita before. It's an elephant. She's an elephant. You don't get a chance to go and pet an elephant. It's not like a dog on the street. So I was nervous, but I wanted to do something. So I went there and picked up one of those iron buckets for the cows they have. I filled it with water. I went quietly and placed it. And she came, and immediately she came and she put her trunk in it. In 1 second, it's like zoop, the water got empty. I was like, oh, she is thirsty. So I went, filled it up again, and came closer, and I kept the bucket. So I went closer and closer to her, every bucket, and she seemed to be very happy with it. And finally, she started throwing the water around us. I thought, okay, maybe she's done now. She's getting cranky. But what I did when I went to her is I also used to play the flute. So I took up my flute with me and went. Then I got a little brave. So I said, you know, Sagita's just standing, she's tied to the tree. I'll just sit and it was hot for me too. So I thought I'll just give her company. So I sat under the tree trunk and I started playing the flute, a simple bhajan I was practicing. And before I realized, she started coming closer. And I got nervous, but I thought, okay, I better not stop to keep playing. So I was playing, and she kept getting closer and closer. And then, to my amazement, suddenly she decided to sit down. And I've never seen an elephant sit down before. It's like an earthquake, a tsunami happening. So I was like, suddenly, what's happening? Is she falling? What's happening? And she, crying. She sat down. And so beautifully, she not only sat down, she lay down and put her trunk on my lap. And one end of the trunk just came on my lap. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Then I touched her, petted her, and I continued. Of course, I had to play. She likes me playing. I better not stop now. So there was fear, but there was more love. There was more adoration for what she did. It was amazing. And I knew that she was happy because of the sounds she used to make when she used to song. It would be all the clickety, clackety sounds from her mouth. And those kind of sounds she was making, and I knew she was happy. And so I was continuing playing until suddenly I heard a man's voice, hey, hey. And I looked up and the Mahmood came running. Hey, just now, you are the check that lie. Get up, he was worried, he said, you know. So he came, he started yelling, get up, don't do that. So hearing his voice, she got up, and I also quickly got up because I didn't want to get into trouble. And so I got up and I said, no, it's okay. I just gave her water and all. He said, no, that is my job. You don't teach me how to do my job. And he started shouting at me. He said, she's dangerous. You should not go near an elephant like this. It is all that. And all in Telugu, he went very fast. Half of it I didn't understand. But I got the general idea that he's annoyed and it's dangerous. To my amazement, I started walking away. Okay, by then I was speaking to Sai Gita and all that. You know, I was like in 9th heaven with her. So I was speaking to her. I told Sai Gita, it's okay. I'll come back some other time and give you water. And I started walking away. And I just kept looking back. After a few feet away from her, like 20, 30 feet away, I looked back. And to my amazement, saw me, this Sai Gita turned to this Mahmood, and her trunk was like this, you know, all the time swinging. She picked up a piece of rock and flung at him. A small piece of course it didn't hit him or anything, he just went near and he stepped back, he said, see, I told you she's But that is how even an animal loved Swami. It is not like she saw Swami every day. It wasn't like that. Swami was not a Mahaprabhu. We let animal love to whoever takes care of the animal will be loyal to them. It's natural, that's logic, that I can agree. But when Swami's car is passing on the road, Sai Gita won't even be able to see the car, she will only hear it. And she will be all excited and she will pass urine, she'll start trumpeting, she'll want to go. Because she never broke the chain. But she wanted she could, but she didn't. But she was very excited. Something would make her all excited about it. And then, oh my gosh, seeing her with Swami was a divine sight. Divine sight. Swami would occasionally stop and just to give her some fruits or bananas or something. That is an amazing sight to see Swami with Sai Gita. I know you all see her. Those who have seen her or when the video cameras or whatever that Scott is during the functions and festivals when she's all decorated and all that. That was nothing. That Swami is also very formal because he knows thousands of people are watching, so he's very formal and distant in Sai Gita. But when it comes informally, one of his brides, he just stops and goes to Sai Gita, he'll be like, Bangaru, Bangaru, Bangaru. and he will hug her trunk, and she will completely, her saliva will be all over Swami's robe. And her trunk will be at Swami's feet all the time. Because it's ickity, all saliva on Swami's feet. But that is who she was. She adored Swami. She adored him. And I could never understand how that happened. You know, usually, especially with red color robes, you think animals will get excited. But it is completely other way around. She was beautiful, and the best of Sai Gita came out. So I thought I must share the Sai Gita story with the children here. And also because even an elephant can teach you devotion. And so when I saw Sai Gita being so devoted, my faith in the story of Hanuman grew. I said, if an elephant in front of our eyes can be devoted like this, why can't a monkey be devoted to Rama? And if an elephant can change its nature to be kind, because look at the strength of an elephant, but yet when it comes to Swami, she was all as soft as she can be, because she didn't want to scare Swami away, keep him closer, and she'll make sounds which are very pleasing and things. So when an elephant can change its very nature, why can't a small monkey jump in ocean? Why can't? It's possible, absolutely possible. The mind is capable of doing anything. And if Hanuman has that much faith and devotion to Rama, he could do what the epic said. And I suddenly saw a possibility of even animals being raised to a divine position or divinity, surely through love and devotion. Sai Gita was one of the best examples ever, and it really made us very humble. Swami will say it and tell us, I'm sure the boys who watch this will attest to this. Swami will tell us, you don't even have an iota of devotion Sai Gita has for me. That was true, absolutely true. So, the whole concept of devotion is so powerful, and you learn that from Swami. The way he was devoted to his mission, the way he was devoted to his devotees, and he wanted to make sure everybody's happy. And Swami was always like that. Whether they were, when you talk to some of the old devotees who are in ashram, who went to Swami when there were hardly anybody, you will hear the same stories. One of the fine devotees here in the US, Sister Geeta Ram, I don't know if you have heard talk to you all. It's amazing to listen to her stories when she was a child and she would play in Swami's lap and she would run around. But listen to her stories, she'll talk of the same intensity Swami had for that 5 people as much as he had 50,000 people or 500,000 people. He didn't wait for the crowds to come to show that he was in a mission. He was the same. He didn't change. And that is why I think he drew crowds. That's why I talked yesterday, is how if you don't compromise on who you are, you will attract the universal forces to do your bidding. You will attract it. We've seen this in the epic stories. We've seen about, heard stories about the sages and saints who did what they wanted to do, the power of the tapas or whatever. But this is an avatar showing that it's absolutely possible. If you believe and you live your life based on your belief and don't compromise on that, everything around you will come and work to your bidding, because you're invoking divinity there. And it's very important. And one of the most beautiful things I learned with Swami in devotion is the absence of ego. It's very easy for us to walk around saying, oh, I got 5 interviews with Swami, 3 rings, 4 watches, I know what I'm talking about, you better listen to me, and we impose ourselves. Or you could just be more humble. I think humility is one of the most beautiful virtues. And if you read this life's stories of any saint or sage, the first thing that strikes you is humility, whether it was Tyagaraja. He didn't think there were people going to make millions of dollars in his name later on. It didn't matter to him. For him, he was, who am I, Rama? Oh my gosh. And whatever he sang stayed hundreds of years. It became the very cornerstone of South Indian classical music today. But that didn't come because he planned it. It came from his heart. It came because a product of humility. Because Hanuman, for example. See, when I say humility, especially youngsters here, don't mistake it for weakness. Humility is not a sign of weakness. Humility is the greatest sign of strength. Let me give a down-to-earth example. If a girl or a lady wins a beauty pageant and she's crowned Miss Universe, is that the highest title? Is that Miss Cosmos? Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss America. I think Miss Universe. Let's go for Miss Universe. So she's crowned the Miss Universe. And then she is busy taking pictures and she knows now, right? And one young girl goes and tells her, I think you're ugly. What do you think will be her reaction? She's going to say, how dare you call me ugly? She'll smile. It's okay, honey. I understand. Why? Because she knows. She knows she's been crowned. Nobody can take that away, at least at that moment. Okay, 10, 20 years later, she might be worried. But at that moment, she knows she has been crowned Miss, and so the other person, it's like the Sai Gita and the street dog example I gave with Swami yesterday. Swami said, Sai Gita walks on the road and street dogs bark. Sai Gita is not going to turn around and say, why are you barking? Why are you barking? Humility comes from knowing that God works through you, and therefore you are strong. Some of the most humble devotees are the strongest. Example, Hanuman. Who can think of or picture Hanuman as a weakling? Have you ever seen a picture of Hanuman or a depiction of Hanuman or a description of Hanuman in any Ram Kathas you have gone to, or any stories or any films you have seen? Have you seen Hanuman sitting in the corner like this? No. He's always like this, he's always like this, he's always like this. The name of God empowered him. But if you see his character, he was the most humble of humbles. The most humble of devotees of Rama. Humility is a virtue that has to be cultivated. Swallowing of the ego is the toughest thing. And that is part of spiritual practice. It's not that somebody is proud, somebody is egoistic, doesn't mean he's not spiritual. He has his own battles to follow. But all of us, at some level, have our own egos. And if we can understand that it is not me, it is God working through me, then humility becomes automatic, it becomes natural. Arjuna was a mighty warrior, best warrior, yet he was humble. He allowed Krishna to run his chariot, to take him where he wanted. He didn't say, no, I am the warrior, I know where to fight, I know which angle to go to, I know how to do this war. He said, you do it. He trusted Krishna. The devotion was so much, Bhagavan would cite these stories. As Krishna would look at a dove sitting on a tree and say, hey Arjuna, isn't that crow beautiful? Arjuna would say, yeah, it's a beautiful crow. Krishna would say, come on, you're blind, it's a dove. Oh yeah, Krishna, it's a dove. I think it's a parrot. Oh yes, Krishna, it is a parrot. So Krishna would look at Arjuna and say, don't you have your own eyes? You're just saying yes to whatever I'm doing. I mean, why are you buttering me so much? And Arjuna would say, I trust your eyes more than I trust mine. Look at that amount of devotion. I trust your eyes more than I trust mine. You run my life. That was the extent of devotion. So I want to share this small paragraph here on devotion through Bhajagovindam. I was going through this Bhajagovindam series yesterday, and all these philosophical treats, if you will, the teachings, if you will, have been handed down since generations and generations, since thousands of years. As people from India, we belong to a tradition which is not 100 to 200 years old. It has changed a lot, but it's thousands and thousands of years old. It's lost in history. We belong to a tradition where people 5,000 years ago knew about Jupiter. They knew Jupiter was the largest planet. They gave it the position of Brihaspati, the Guru. They knew Saturn was the slowest moving planet. They knew Saturn was the furthest away from the sun. So they said this is the father, that is the sun, two extremes. So they knew about Mars. They knew about Mercury, about the heat in Mercury. That's why they say Mercury is in this house, your tongue is very sharp and you can get angry and you can say whatever. All those interpretations are. But how did they know that? How did they know these planets? Go out tonight, take a look at the sky and try and spot one planet. I'm sure you'll get Venus, so that's not counted. It is so difficult to find even a constellation. How did they know about the nakshatras, about the constellations? Without the distance that in the Vedas, the distance between the earth and the moon that is put there is 99.9% the same as the distance the modern science has found. If somebody who knows how to interpret, they use different measures. Okay, They didn't use inches and light years, but they used nimishas and all that. So if you convert that, you'll find the distance they put and the distance that is measured today is the same. Is the same. How does that happen? How do they know about eclipses? How did they set forth the Hindu calendar? It's been set forth at least 3,000-4,000 years ago. It's still, how did they predict all this? How did they know this? It's fascinating to see how we come from, I believe, it's my belief, that there was a very advanced civilization. And we are rediscovering what has already been discovered. Because if a king 3,000 years ago decides the temple has to be so pious that the shadow of the temple should not touch the earth, and the architects decide, okay, the king wants it, we'll do it. How much amount of geometry and science and calculations will go into building of that temple? And it wasn't an ordinary temple. It stands today in Tanjavur at the Brihadishwara temple. It has the largest lingam, one stone lingam, Shiv lingam, which is there, and it's lasted more than 1,500 years. How is that even possible for them to build something like that? First of all, visualize, and then architect the whole thing. How did they put those huge stones on top of the other? Tiruchendur is a temple which is below sea level. The tsunami came all over, but when it came to the temple, the tsunami waves didn't. The temple should have been under the sea by now, logically. But the architects knew that this part of somewhere here is protected. There is something under the sea. I don't know how did they see that? How did they divine these things? Swami gives a very simple answer. He says, know that by which everything else is known. Know that by which everything else is known. What is that? He says that is Atma, the knowledge of the self. If you know who you are, you will know everything else in the world. Everything else that you need to know will automatically be known. The reason why we are struggling and we think spirituality is a complication and God is far and this and that, and we go on and this eternal circles of one guru after the other, one satsang after the other, one puja after the other, one God after the other. The reason we are caught up in this is we are not doing what is primarily required, which Ramana Maharishi said, which all the saints are finally, who am I? Who is the one who wants all this? Who am I? It might sound dry, but we not get the answer in one second. But let that question be there. Let that little lamp of curiosity, that question always be at the back of the mind. Who knows? Who knows? Someday you'll get a flash, an intuition, you'll get an idea of who you are. So, this is paved through Adi Shankara's teachings. And he would teach these highest truths because he's the greatest guru which India has ever known is Advaita. He brought the Upanishads back to life from meaningless rituals. He raised the level of consciousness. He said, no. Vedic Upanishads are not just some mantra chanting. This is the essence of Upanishads. Aham Brahmasmi, Ekoham Brahma, Ekoham Bhushya, I am one, I am the many. Those are fantastic statements. So he revived them. He also brought in Bhaja Govinda. See the combination. On the one side, it is I am the self. So he writes Atma Bodha and he writes Nirvana Shatakam. He writes all this, which is dry philosophy, you would think. But then he also teaches Bhaja Govinda. He also writes Soundil Lahiri. He also praises the Devi. So the point is, it does not matter what path. It does not matter what path. There is no one path. There is no right path. Take whatever it takes at that moment. Grab onto whatever you feel you're tuning into at that moment. You feel like meditating, meditate. You feel like chanting, chant. You feel like praying, pray. It does not matter. It does not matter. The technique is not seen. I think the divine sees the intensity behind it. If you're caught up somewhere and you have to get back to your child's birthday in another town, in another city, let's say you're in LA and your child is in New Jersey and you want to travel back and you're already late and you have to be there. And somehow you missed your flight or something went wrong. What will you do? You're desperate, you have to get back to your child's birthday. What would you do? You would say, would you sit back and say, I have to travel by first class, otherwise my back hurts. I can't go. I'm not doing first class, I'm only getting economy seat. You won't say that. You will say, it doesn't matter, I just take something, I have to be there for my child's birthday or child's graduation, whatever. I'm just giving an example. You would take anything to reach there. That time you're not going to say, this is my path, that is not my path. I will go with my path. I don't take the car, or I will take only by flight, or I don't go fly, I only go by road. You don't say, okay, whatever, I'm desperate now, let's take whatever. Because reaching there is most important for you. Right? I remember seeing some Christmas movies where father wants to reach for the Christmas, and then he hops onto the van, then he takes a flight, and he's hopping on with some hippies on in a smelly truck, and somehow he manages to make it to Christmas. And so when I saw that film, I was reminded that this is how it has to be if you are yearning for God. It does not matter what it is. Don't start intellectualizing, if this is my path, what path should I do? Should I do meditation? Should I do yoga? Should I do this? Oh, all these speakers, each one comes and tells something so confusing. Let go. Ask myself, I want God. What do I feel like doing now? I just feel like sitting and talking to Him. Sit and talk. You're tired of that. You want to listen to bhajans as you drive. Listen, something keep that flame of yearning alive. And Swami says, as long as the flame is alive, the butter will melt. Even butter needs some heat. It's very soft. Not as soft like butter, they say. Krishna's heart was soft like butter. But even that butter needs some heat to melt. Take it out of the fridge and try. At least the Indian butters, you can never slice them. They'll go flying all over the place. But even butter needs heat. So, and that heat comes with constant yearning. And the path is simple. So, Bhaja Govindam is one of the most beautiful things. It shares the highest truth, and then Adi Shankara ends it up saying Bhaja Govindam. Sing the name of God. Everything else will fall in place. How? Don't worry, just it will fall in place. So, devotion is a great path to the divine. And it is a royal path in the Kali Yuga, if the scriptures say. Narada said that in the Narada Bhakti Sutras, he said, this is the only path you can make, you can level with in this Kali Yuga, in this age where you'll be caught up with so many other things. The only easiest way is to play with channelize your emotions and your feelings, then your thoughts and mind, and everything follows suit. So I want to share this. And Swami loved each of these verses. I sang a few yesterday. He loves each of these verses, and we did a play with the inner meaning of each in front of Swami, and he loved it. So it is with that that I'd like to share this. This beautiful verse is on Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. We're caught up in this eternal cycle of birth and death. And we come back again and we die, and we come back again and we die. I know this is philosophical. For me, the way I relate to birth and death is every night I go to sleep, I die. Every morning I'm born again. And I ask myself, how come my day is going back to the same old routine? So Punarpi Jananam, Punarpi Maranam is not really after death, is there life after death? Let's not worry about that. We cannot deal with it right now. Because that's a matter of faith. Even if somebody comes and says, I remember my past life, you have to it's a matter of faith. You can't prove it to you, can't ask him for proof. But every night you sleep, there's a time in the night when you're so fast asleep, you're as good as dead. You really have no clue what's going on. Right? I slept like a log. What does that mean? You had no clue what is going on. And so when you get up, it's like being born again. But Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Punarapi Janani, Chatari Shayana. How come you are caught up in this eternal cycle? When are you going to break from the cycle? When are you going to find a release from the cycle? When are you going to get a breath of fresh air and say, I'm done, I need something more in life, and ask for something more, yearn for something more. So that is this beautiful meaning of this paragraph. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani.
Samsare
One of the greatest gifts Swami has left us with are bhajans. It's such an amazing thing that when things don't make sense to you, when things appear too dry, it's very easy to break into a bhajan. When you feel lonely or you're on a long drive, the best things you can do is put on a bhajan. The melody of bhajans, there is something about energy of the bhajan. It's very different from listening to good music. I love classical music, I listen to classical music, I listen to all kinds of music. But when it comes to bhajan, it's completely different. It's something very different. It lifts you. It lifts you to a completely different place, effortlessly. You don't have to worry about distractions at all. It just happens so naturally. One of the greatest, as part of this devotion, I think I'm so happy to see, I really need to commend at this point, and I thought I should not forget before doing this, before the end of my talk, and I might as well use this chance to commend my fellow alumni for bringing centers together and organize programs like this. I travel to a lot of centers, and what concerns me, I see there's a great amount of devotion, it's very humbling, and I learn so much from every place I go. But I want to share a concern, and the concern is that Swami is maybe becoming an event on your calendar. Maybe becoming an event on the calendar. And the concern is that as we get associated with the center and we love the center, we become obsessed with the center. Which center are you from? Oh, I don't go to that center. I belong to the center. This is North Indian center, that is South Indian center. I hear these things and I'm like, Swami's ashram was open to everyone. He didn't say this festival only North Indians come or South Indians come. We tend to group. But Swami is not about that. You belong to Swami, you don't belong to a center. Always ask yourself, do I belong to a center, do I belong to Swami? So wherever Swami's name is chanted, don't hesitate to go. Even if it is brand new, I come to places where I don't know anyone. And one side makes it completely homely, it's a family. I just want to share it because it's in my heart. And I don't mean to judge, it's not that, oh my God, everything is going this way. No, but somehow it is a tendency for us. We have done that in ages. If you go back, we have institutionalized every god on earth. Every master walks as an institution form, rules, regulations, people associate, and then there are groups formed within that. It's amazing how even Jesus who didn't have any church, how many churches are formed now, how many paths. Even within Shaivites there are some, within Vaishnavites there are some groups. It's amazing how we form these groups. And I'm afraid even in Sai family that might happen. Oh, we only sing South Indian bhajans. So I don't know what it is, but let us be very aware that we don't fall into this trap. And if we don't, our children will not. But at this point, if we do, then our children automatically will follow because they just see it. And so then there might be divisions as to what kinds of centers are there. So it's something amazing, and that's why I really commended Gopi. I said, Gopi, you're doing a great job. You didn't say this is for one particular center. You said, we're inviting all the centers together. And I see people from all centers here, and it's very heartwarming. And I just want to commend them for organizing something like this. I think they deserve a good hand. It's very important. It's very important for us to affiliate ourselves not to an institution, not to a center, but to Swami. And for us as devotees, We shouldn't wait for the organization to tell us how to be devoted. Organization helps us, provides the environment, but the growth is within us. It's up to us. It's up to us to keep that devotional flame alive. Don't look for the organization to give you something. They are providing this home. Look at this. The heart of the people who have opened up their home and allowing people without any questions, anybody walk up, down, everywhere. That is the beauty of Swami. You know, when Swami said, when people said we want Swami to get centers and all, Swami said let people learn to first open their homes. Then we'll think of centers. So, and that is a beautiful spiritual lesson. Though I know in America we don't have centers, in other countries people, you know, they donate centers or build centers. Like Canada has its own center, Sai Center. That's a beauty of its own. But I think opening up your home and allowing people to come is something very deeply spiritual. It goes back to deep traditions of India, where a home becomes a temple. At a drop of a hat, you have satsangs in your home. The home becomes a center, the home becomes a temple, the home becomes Prashanti Nilay. So that is the spirit with which Swami wants us to grow and serve Him. We have come here to lose our ego, not to say, this is my idea, please let's stick to my idea. Work for a cause, not for an individual. Swami, you know, when it came to drama, for example, Swami said, we can keep this boy in the play and look at Swami. When Swami is asking me, how do I design? So I look at Swami, what do we design? Swami said, no, you tell me. Character, we do. Chase that on. Character mukhimu, not this person. So for him, the drama was more important, not the person. Oh, this boy will feel bad if he doesn't get the play. Swami was thinking of how many people are going to watch that play, how many people are going to be inspired by that play. And so he wouldn't compromise on the quality of the play. He wouldn't compromise on the quality of the bhajans. You know, I was telling you how Swami trained us for bhajans, but that was the light part. The serious part was we couldn't afford to make a mistake. That's why somebody started on the wrong scale yesterday. I said, no, give half point. Because I know there is more out of statistics thing. Yeah, we were not allowed to make mistakes, so I won't give her a point. But that was how it was. With Swami, if you start something wrong, one glare from the chair and you would just feel you want to sink into the floor. Because that glare didn't mean he was annoyed with you, but the glare would mean that you may not get a chance to sing again. So you really had to practice. So if we feel the presence of Swami here, that bhajan becomes a seva, the quality of our programs are not to please people. It was, if we put up a play and said, oh, these are all VIP kids, devotees kids, we give them chance. Give them chance, but think of what happens in a play. I don't know, I'm thinking of all practical things that come up when you organize in a group, and it's natural. But never compromise on the cause. The cause is more important than an individual. The center is more important than an individual. Swami's mission is more important than an individual. Swami's bhajan is more important than what an individual feels. Always like that. Always like that. Sundaram bhajans, top quality bhajans. You've heard Sundaram bhajans. They're top quality. Even today they're like amazing quality. Why? They never compromised on that quality. Nobody could come and sit there and say, Swami's given me 10 interviews, let me sing. They'll say, yeah, singing your house is not here. There's a strict selection committee. What I'm trying to say is, there are people who are still maintaining that. In Puttaparthi, when a boy was introduced into singing, he would first sing in the hostel. When Swami comes into the hostel, they'll say, hey, this boy really sings well. So we'll say, let us introduce him to Swami. Let him sing in the hostel first. Because hostel, what happens? All the other boys will sing, right? There is following. So even if a new bhajan has to be introduced, we'll wait for Swami to come to the hostel. Before that, we'll sing with the boys, make sure the boys follow. Because if you sing a bhajan and nobody follows, Swami, you can never sing that bhajan again in front of Swami. So you have to introduce a bhajan, a new bhajan. We would introduce it in the hostel. Baba would come and he would like the bhajan. Then you introduce in the college so that other lecturers and others will do. And then this goes back and forth for a few weeks. And then with great debate and with great trepidation, say who will bell the cat, and who will sing this bhajan now. So who composed it or who feels inspired and who's really good, it's okay, I'll try. So they will sing it when Swami is giving interviews. They'll sneak the bhajan into the crowd. Then that's how each bhajan got in with Swami for us. Because it is important that everybody sang, how to bring it. Swami never wanted us to compromise on the quality. The reason why he wanted us to wear white pant and white shirt was, he says, It's not for people to see, for you to practice purity, and your purity begins with what you wear. You know what, in India, you know how it is, and with white pant and white shirt, you're walking down the road, you have to be careful where you step, where you go. So now you're living in the moment. You're immediately not taking for granted, looking around and happy tune. You can do that with jeans on, really. And black shirt on. I really don't remember that incident. But with white pant and white shirt, you watch where you sit. You watch how you stand, you watch how, even now when I'm with a cup of coffee or something between breaks, I'm always careful I'm holding it. So that a part of me is always conscious of what I'm doing. That is being in the moment. That is such a powerful training of mindfulness that Swami is teaching you. But he didn't use these flashy words, he just said, wear white pant and white shirt. So youngsters were constantly, there's a part of you who is conscious where I'm sitting, how I'm doing, how I'm walking, because I'm wearing white pant and white shirt. So the training was already there, just because you're wearing. So at every stage he taught us how to be devoted, how to practice divinity into our everyday life. That's why boys enjoyed it. It became an adventure. Living in Puttaparthi was an adventure. It was fun. Discipline was fun. I know I can't believe I'm saying this, but it was fun. The last D that I want to share, I know we went through discipline, determination, discrimination, detachment, devotion. The last was duty, a sense of duty. Swadharma, as Swami used to call it. What is your dharma? What is your dharma? I want to come to this through an anecdote. We were called before the Dasara festivals, a group of us, to clean some Swami, a couple of rooms upstairs, and to bring out some old boxes. I was telling you yesterday how devotees will just pour stuff to Swami and he'll keep everything in his room. Everything will be stacked and piled everywhere. It will be, except Swami's living room and his bedroom, it will look like a warehouse. Clean warehouse, though, but it will look like a warehouse, really. It will be all boxes, 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 boxes. I will never remember what is what, but he will always remember which is where. It's amazing. Anyway, so just before Dasara comes or just before the birthday festival, he will call, and because he wants to now distribute clothes. In those days, it is all in his room always. Tons of saris and dhotis and everything will be in his room. Even in his, there's a small passage outside his bedroom, they'll be full of cupboards, and each of these cupboards will be stacked with dhotis and saris and everything. Everything that is meant to be given away, that's all. And so he called us one Dasara, and we were all upstairs, and Swami said, get this box, get that box, and all that. And he told two of us to go to a room, and he said, some box, he said, go get this, it's a small box, get it out. So we went to open that room, and it was pitch dark. And we had small flashlights. We always carried flashlights in those rooms because they were all pretty dark and we never knew where the switch was, and it's always good to have a flashlight. So we put the flashlight and I was looking for the switch to put it on. And like I said, it has to be all done very quietly. So we were just looking and saying, where's the switch? Where is it? And then suddenly we heard, hey, Tunna Potulara. Tunna Potulara means buffaloes. Swami's favorite word was buffaloes. He'd always call us buffaloes. Of course, Professor Kasturi once explained, he says you're a buffalo because he thinks he's the cowherd, and he will lead you, he will whip you, but he will lead you to the right place where you will find water and sustenance. So, but Swami also used it as a word to chide it, buffalo, So we heard this, and we just froze. And we looked around, I saw the silhouette of Swami outside on the door. And of course he walked in 2 steps, he put on the switch, it's his house, he knows exactly where things are. The light came. What he said was very profound. And it didn't strike me at that moment because, like I said, when we are with Swami, we are so caught up in things we miss. But then you got to keep your antennas up and, and in the receiving mode. And later on, try and digest every word that you spent and every word you heard to understand if there was anything in it. What he said, very simply and very casually, he put on the switch, he said, Na light lo chudandi, na light lo chudandi. See in my light, ఏంటి మీ ఫ్లాష్ లైట్ ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ఇక్కడ కనిపించదు ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ఇక్కడ కనిపించదు when you see here you can't see here when you see here you can't see here what is your flashlight నా లైట్ లో చూడండి అన్ని కనిపిస్తుంది and he walked off As I was, so let me once again reframe this in English for those of you who didn't follow. He said, see in my light. What is the use of your little flashlight? You see the flashlight, you shine it here, you don't see the back behind you. Then you shine it behind you, you don't see things in front of you. You see very little. See in my light, you see everything. You will see everything. You know, we talk of being caught up in the past and future all the time. If you're thinking, it's because you're thinking of either the past or the future. If there's a thought, it's because it's either about the past or the future. If you're in the present, really, you don't think. In the perfect moment, you don't think. You experience that in moments in presence. You don't think, you're just listening, and the awareness lifts you. Or in meditation, or whenever in deep prayer, we experience that perfect moment. But most of the time, we are caught up either in the past or in the future. If you look at the past, we don't have an idea of the future. If you look at the future, we forget the past. So we're eternally caught up. We are either happy or sad about the past. We are fearful and we are confused about because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So there is fear, there is anxiety, there is stress, if you will. So we are caught up in this. And in that, we lose the magic of living in the present. Our flashlights, the way I understood this particular message from Swami was, we are our little minds. We use our little minds to work our life. We use our little intellect to figure out things. It's like using little batteries to light up your house when you have power lights. So you can put on the ceiling lights and light up the room, but every one of us is sitting with flashlights. Who's this guy talking? Oh, Sunder Iyer, okay. And it looks so funny, right? But actually in real life, we are using our little intellects to figure out our lives. We use it to figure out our career, we use it to figure out our relationships, we use to figure out our philosophies, our belief system. We are using these little tools to figure out our life. But the limitation is in the tool itself. If you see one place, you don't see the other place. The tool itself is limited. The source and the energy behind these tools are limited. See in my light. What if there is a source within us that we switch on and then we get to see everything that empowers us, that from within, that is the switch of God. And therefore, if we allow Him to put on that switch, to turn on that switch, that allowing Him to turn on that switch, for me, is surrender. I mean, that is the call for duty. Our duty is to surrender. Again, surrender, if you look at Hanuman, you look at Arjuna, you look at any examples of surrender in history, it's not a sign of weakness. Surrender is not lack of decision making. Surrender is not escapism. There is also an escapist idea of surrender some of us may have. We want to buy this house or that house, we don't know what to do, we drop 2 chicks in front of Swami. Swami, which one should I buy? Maybe you shouldn't buy a house, that is not there in the chick. It's very convenient. Swami, this house or that house, you tell me. How about not buying one? How about this job or that job? This girl or that girl, or this boy or that boy? That is, to me, that is escapism. To me, that is escapism, because you are afraid to take a decision and therefore you're somehow seeking some magical intervention. That is why the critics said religion is the opium of the masses. And to that extent, they're right. We treat it as an opium. We want a quick escapism. We need somebody to figure it out for us. That is not what surrender is all about. Surrender is, to me, allowing the bigger light to take over. And that empowers me. Then I'm taking a decision knowing it is God working through me. So what if it's a wrong decision? He wants me to learn something out of it. And therefore, to me, with my intellect, this job is better than this job. Let me do this. What if I'm wrong? So, maybe He wants me to learn something out of it. The strength comes because now you're leaning on a higher power and you know that the higher power is working through you. You are not the one who's doing it. And therefore it emboldens you to choose your career. It emboldens you to choose your partner in life. It emboldens you to take the little decisions that otherwise you are afraid of. surrender and devotion does not make things easy in life, but it gives you the courage to face it. When Swami put on the light, the little cobwebs here and there didn't disappear suddenly. Or the boxes didn't move away, paving the way for us to reach where we wanted to go. The boxes were still there. But in that light, we knew which box we can step over and which box we have to go around. We knew that. So life doesn't change because Swami, I have surrendered to you. Why are you giving me so many problems? Oh, okay, that's not surrender. Swami would say, Chala mandi cheptaru, surrender to Swami, everything good will happen. They surrender. Is that surrender? Everything good will happen. So that's a condition there. As long as good things are happening, it's surrender. When you surrender, you just surrender literally. You allow. See, when the sunlight comes up, the need for little lights and flashlights become redundant. You don't need them anymore. And so you surrender them, you put them off. Because the sunlight is now taking over completely. So when God's light comes into your life, when you open your mind and heart and say, God, take over. Let me feel your energy flow. Then your thoughts, your words, your actions will automatically be reflecting His divinity. Things will fall, believe me or not. I mean, I know you all know this. All of us have experienced this. There's nothing that I'm saying in the last 2.5 days or 1.5 days that is new. We always know. And Swami said, once we were talking, preparing for speech, and Swami was asking what you're going to talk, he said, tell something new. And then he smiled and said, nothing new you can say. Everybody knows. You're only reminding people what they already know. Even I tell this, do the same thing. I only remind people what they already know. We already know everything that has to be known. We choose not to remember, we choose not to believe it. We choose to put a little, put it in the fridge, keep it in the freezer for now. Think about it later. We choose to put it in cold storage. But we know these things. We know that God within us, that we know that amazing things happen in our lives when we allow God to work. You would think, what will happen to my family? What will happen to my job? What will happen to my career if I think of the surrender and all that? No, it will in fact become better. It will in fact become better. You'll learn because you will be in an attitude of a student. You will constantly learn, There is so much more to discover. Every time you know something, you'll see a whole universe opening up for you. And there's so much more to learn. And this attitude of learning, you grow. And that makes you humble, that makes you devoted. And you just surrender to this infinite power, this wisdom that is running the universe. You think you and I are running this universe? There is an infinite intelligence at work. We call it God. Scientists like to call it something else. They're not figured out its supreme intelligence. They'll come to terms with it. They discovered the pineal gland only 60 years ago, 70 years ago. But it was already there in the yoga text, in the Vedic text. A long, long time. They discovered it. It's described as the eye of Shiva. But the pineal gland has a chemical in it called the dimethyltryptamine, which science is discovering is the chemical has an amazing ability to communicate. The molecules has an ability to communicate with that same chemical across every living being on the planet, because every living being on the planet has that DNA, and they communicate. So they say that, they're trying to explain psychedelic experience that comes when the pineal gland is activated. So at least they accept that pineal gland gives birth to psychedelic experiences, which is known in Vedas, in the Yoga Upanishads and in the Upanishads. They talk of the eye of Shiva. The eye of Shiva opens up. It's described with 2 petals. So when the eye of Shiva opens up, you're able to see things which otherwise you wouldn't have seen. But now, think of it, maybe this molecules is communicating now. It doesn't know time and space, there's no limitation. So science is coming back. Finally they will say there is a supreme intelligence of some kind that is running this universe. It would be chaotic, but there is an intelligence. There is an intelligence. And that intelligence we are all part of. Isn't that, just knowing that is amazing? Just imagine if somebody was to tell you, hey, you are a distant cousin of President Obama. You'd be like, oh, really? But here is Swami telling you are not a distant cousin, you are a child of the Supreme Being. You, it's your birthright. You are the prince. you inherit the kingdom of God. I mean, Jesus tried telling this, Krishna tried telling this, Swami tried telling this. Let us not lose the essence of this teaching. That is the crux of Swami. Otherwise, if we miss this, I fear, if we miss this essence of who Swami was, then we'll be waiting for another Guru to come out. And then the other Guru will come and he'll tell you the same thing. And then we'll wait for another Guru to come. Everybody waits for the second coming, the third coming. But I have enough homework to do with Satyasai. I'm very excited about Premasai. I've got enough work. That is for another generation. What he meant by coming again as Premasai, I don't know. What did he mean by 86 years, 96 years, I didn't know. He would come to the veranda and in front of, there are always these scientists and doctors and everybody sitting around. And Swami very boldly will say, I am 108 pounds, 54 kgs, 108 pounds. I am perfect weight. You'll be like, Swami, 54 kgs is not 108 pounds. 108 pounds is not 54 kgs. But he'll very boldly say, 54 kgs, 108 pounds. Number 9, I am perfect. I would be happy with number 9 because that's my birthday. But we would never be able to figure out what is he trying to say. We still not figured it out. So we always learn, those of us who are close, we always learn to take these things with a pinch of salt. Once he created a lingam, a beautiful lingam, he's holding it in his hand. He says, see how beautiful it is. He said, Swami is beautiful. And then he said, this weighs 2 tons. 2 tons. So he saw our faces, and this is very serious, okay? It's not like Swami is smiling at this and he expected us to take it seriously. Tell us, 2 tons weight. Tell me, okay, Swami. Nobody believes. They are sitting and Swami, how does it make sense? It's a student. And he gave it to us to pass it around. And we are passing it. Yes, it's heavy, but 2 tons can be holding it. But Swami insisted that lingam was 2 tons. What did he mean? I don't know. What did Jesus mean when he said, destroy this temple and I will rebuild it in 3 days? That time nobody knew it. They crucified him. They lost a great master. The loss was only for them at that moment because it turned out to be a blessing in terms of divinity and Christianity spreading. But you don't know at what level, what language he's trying to communicate. Our language is so limited. The words we have chosen to communicate are so limited that it is even difficult for him to communicate the way he wants to communicate. We won't understand these things. So the best thing I have learned is certain things I don't understand. I just put it in that little freezer of mine, cold storage. Yeah, I can't figure it out, but it doesn't matter. It's not my priority right now. So what did he mean by 85 years or 96 years and he passed away 10 more years? What if he lived 1 more year extra? Would he have gone and told him, Swami, what is this? 1 more year you have lived? Would you tell him? Or what if it was 1 year less than he predicted? What would we say? We would have said, yeah, 1 year, he was close to his prediction. Who determines what is close and what is far? It's all in our mind. 1,000 years from now, nobody's going to worry about 10 years here and there. Who knows what Krishna said and how he passed away? Who knows what Rama did and how he passed away? We don't care. We are focusing on the character of Krishna, the teachings of Krishna. That's what is going to stay. At the moment when Jesus was crucified, there was confusion, chaos. Nobody knew. The disciples ran helter-skelter. They hid under the darkness of the night. Nobody wanted to claim they knew Jesus. There was chaos. Was that a failure in his mission? No. You see what is happening now. Who's talking about that chaos? We are talking about the teachings of Jesus. We're talking about the parables of Jesus. The name of Jesus brings peace to our heart. That is what is going to be talked about 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Not as I over past 10 years from now, 10 years before he did. All that is going to become such a small, insignificant thing. It is a very insignificant thing. So don't worry about this. Don't spend time. I wouldn't. I know you didn't ask my advice, but sometimes I overstep myself. Forgive me if I do this. But just as a brother, I know these questions do come up in people's heart and minds. And I would say these are such insignificant matters. Focus on the essence of what a master stood for, because that is what is going to stay down time. And we have been given that chance, and it's human nature for us to miss the opportunity. When you look at beautiful hill and people camping and say, oh, it's so nice to go in nature and be there. Guess what, when you go there, you'll be worried about mosquitoes, bugs biting, and you forgot this, what do we eat now, where do we cook? And you'll miss the fun of being camping out there. But when you're driving past, you say, oh, lucky people, I don't know how they enjoy it. It's happened to all of us. My parents, the very few handful of picnics I remember was always we dragged here, come here, time is up, get ready, go. And then picnic's over. Before you realize it's all, do this, do that, don't eat, sit here, everybody be together, don't run away, eat, come on, fast, throw this here, throw this there, picnic over. So we want to do something. So we want to go for darshan, for example, but we go to Puttaparthi, we get caught and say, shouting at us, oh, this is bad, I am sitting for 3 hours. We miss the magic of that moment. It's in human nature. All of us, I'm not out of this at all. I'm just sharing these things because it's only in spiritual retreats like this where we can be open and honest with each other and say, these are the things that we miss. This is why, because the nitty-gritties of, at that moment, the little things become too much for us and we miss the bigger picture. I don't want us to miss the bigger picture of who Swami was because of the little things that do not make sense to us at this point in time. Don't miss the bigger picture of who he was. Don't miss the bigger picture. That's why people say, oh, Swami Sai Baba was a magician. I said, yes. He used to transform people's heart. You need more than a magician to do that. That was the bigger picture. That was the real magic he brought about. How many of us are sitting here simply because Swami has the ability to materialize things? Probably not even one. Because he did much more than that. There's much more than that. So, the idea of surrender is me allowing God to be part of it. When I was in Swami's room, and we used to clear up all the mails every day when Swami gets up and goes into his bedroom, whatever is left over for the day, we had to clear it out so that place is made for the next day's meal. In those days, in the mid-80s, early 80s, he used to get at least 300-400 letters a day by post, and plus he would collect so many. So there would always be so much mail. So one of our duties was that he would, if Swami, once he moves into his bedroom, we pick up all the mail and we would take it down and we would open them. The only reason why we would open is our duty was to make, if there was any check that was rendered of people who put cash and give. So all that we will keep it aside and then send it to the ashram office. So that was Swami instructed us to do that every night. So that was, each one took turns for that. So before I tell this story, let me come to that because I was opening these mails. I remember one of my early days with Swami. One afternoon he called me, hey, come here. I just put a tray and I stood, tray of mail, and Swami said, Sudu, open Sundu. He said, wait here. And he took one tray, kept it. There were 3 trays, plastic trays, piled on top of each other. He took the first tray, kept it on his lap. And then, at lightning speed, and I'm telling you really lightning speed, he just kept passing me very quickly. Each, just as if he has no time for this, all the envelopes, he just kept giving me. And I was like, what is Swami giving this phone? Like, what is he doing? I had no idea. So I'm just grabbing them as he's giving me. He put that tray down, took the another one, and started giving me very fast. He's just going through it simply. And so now he finishes all the 3 trays and I'm standing like this with a bunch of envelopes in my hand. I'm looking at him and Swami looks at me, Deeklanta, Dabbu, Chekku, Anta Undai, Anta office switches him. All this has got some check or some money, give to the office. I just stood staring at him because I didn't believe this is possible. Because you would look like this and you feel it. There's a check or money and give it. So but at this speed, I just told him, game just now, go. So first I thought he was kidding or what, you don't know, you never know what Swami was doing. So, but I needed to see that, what are you staring at? Go. So I went down to the room and I made sure I opened each one of them. Because I said, it's impossible for him to pick it up at this speed. How come even one of them, what if there is nothing? But believe me, right from 11 rupees to a $10,000 check, every one of them had something or the other with money in it. Every one of those envelopes. So why does he need to read it? I don't know. Why does he even need to pick up letters from people? I don't know. Is it a pastime? I don't know. Why do we watch TV? I don't know. It must be one of those meaningless things we just see this just for passing time. What else do I do? Okay, let me read some books. Just like we watch Seinfeld over and over and over. I never could understand why Swami did that. But this is what our duty was. So, when one day as I was removing these letters, people would send beautiful cards to Swami. It will have beautiful sayings in them. And inside there might be a personal note or so. So, there was one beautiful card. So, as Swami had opened it, seen it and kept it. But cards he won't tear. He won't have the heart to tear it. I think letters and all he will tear. Cards he'll just keep it. We'll have to tear it and throw it. But this particular card, when I say a card, it's a greeting card, right? So when I picked up this card, I'm not supposed to open it, but it was so beautiful. I just glanced, what is this? And I saw Saint Francis of Prayer, the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. Make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is dark faith, where there is darkness, light. Where there is despair, hope. From this moment on, let me not seek to be consoled as I will seek out to console. Let me not seek to understand. Let me not seek to be understood as much as I will seek out to understand. The prayer goes, and I'll come back to the prayer in a bit. So I thought, wow, a beautiful prayer. It just touched my heart, right? The first time I read it, touched my heart. I looked at the card. I didn't realize Swami had walked into the room. I don't know about the inches now. Swami, where's Swami? Bhagwan the Kada. He said, it's a nice card, no? Yes, Swami. I kept it aside, and then I took the envelopes. And later on, of course, a month later, Swami gave me a whole bag. He gave me a card and next time just go, and he said, you like all these cards, take it. And I opened it with all greeting cards, and I made an album out of it, and with my pictures with Swami, and later on Swami signed it many years later. But the story doesn't end, that's not part of the story. The story was, I saw that because Swami came just as I was reading this prayer of Saint Francis, and it has always been, the day I accepted Swami, from the very next day I think I started praying that I need to be an instrument. I loved the character of Hanuman, I still do. I just loved the idea that, the idea of devotion. When Swami talks about Hanuman, it does something to me. So I always like that. And so I always wanted to be an instrument of Bhagavan. I said, use me as an instrument, Swami. How can I be an instrument? How can I be, if Brother Gopi says I was a role model, whatever it was only because I wanted to be that. I still want to be like that. Where my effort in yoga today is to revive yoga, the spiritual values of yoga in the West. And I want to be a role model. I want to eat the way a yogi should eat. I want to be an example. If I say yoga is about wellness, then I should look well. I should be able to do things. That's how youngsters will be inspired. When I talk about that, one of the greatest things Swami said about being a teacher, and I think it applies to us whether we are teachers in Swami's University or we are SSC teachers, or parents are also teachers, right? My parents are teachers. We're all teachers in our own sense. The kids are also they teach us a lot. How many kids have brought Swami, their parents into Swami's fold? So kids are also teachers. We're all teachers, and Swami would always say the best way to teach is by example. The best way to teach is by example. The most powerful lessons I learned from my parents were seeing my father. I mean, he would be so strict and all that, but I saw him as a man who stuck to his word. If he tells somebody he will help, he will definitely help. He will not swerve one way or the other. He was a man of righteousness. This is what I want to do, I will do it. It's very strict, very disciplined. I saw him following that. That inspired me. I saw Swami following these. So, if we want to inspire somebody, if we want to inspire our children, they want you, not your words. It is our example is what inspires them. I have a very close friend who heard me sing and all. He said, "My God, Sundar, you have been into music." I said, "Yeah, my parents encouraged me to music right from childhood." And then I went into the ashram, and so learning bhajans here and there I picked up. And then we had Brother Kumar and all the Kumars. Something with Kumars and singing. They're all good. I should have been called Kumar. There's S. Kumar, there's Ravi Kumar, and D. Kumar, and all the fantastic singers. These are the boys who came and lifted students' level of bhajans, and we all picked up with them. And so he would say the example comes from setting an example. So I told my friend, it all comes from, we were in part of the satsang group, everybody was singing, and so we just picked up from different examples. So he brought a keyboard for his son. He said, okay, I'll also introduce him to music. I said, it's a great idea. So he brought a keyboard for his son, and after 1.5 years or so, I went back and I met him. And I said, what happened? How's your music coming for that? He said, no, he's not interested in music at all. Nothing is working. I said, why? Did you send him to classes and all? He said, yeah, he said everything I was sending him, but he doesn't come and practice. And so I sat and I said, listen, do you people listen to music? Where is the time? I work 12 hours a day. Where is time for me to listen to music? Does your wife listen to music? Yeah, once in a while we just whatever we watch on TV, some film music here and there we listen. And how do you expect your kid to pick up music? So where does he practice? Oh, when he comes, so many times you told him, go practice. So I told him, he's thinking it's a punishment. He comes from a long day in school, he wants to sit with his parents, then you're sending him to a room alone practice. Nobody's there listening to him. So how will that interest come? How will that interest come? He got it, of course. Then he said, yeah, so music is not there in our lives. I said, you have decided, that's fine. But the point was that if parents are not into music, the child cannot pick up music. Unless the child is gifted. There are exceptions. There are exceptions to everything. Right? But the point is, if you set an example, if you are an example of the values, then your kids pick up. If the kid learns in such SSC class, they learn about truth, speaking and honesty, and they go and they see their father telling them, when the phone rings, tell them I'm not at home. The kid is not going to correct you. The kid just thinks it's natural to live like that. Maybe there are two values in life. One is to learn and one is to practice. So the kid watches it. It becomes natural. That's why we say we are spiritual, but we have to be practical also. When we say we are practical, what do we mean? We mean we'll compromise everything. That's on the book. That is why you have only one or two masters who walk the earth, because they don't compromise. This is an example. And anything and everything is possible if somebody believes in it. Absolutely possible. So this story, so Swami said always as an example, and so for me, the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi was so powerful that I said, this is the perfect prayer to become an instrument. Make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. What a beautiful prayer. So I kept praying, and the first time I spoke in front of Swami, after that incident, I said this prayer at the end of my talk. Swami, this is my prayer. And the next day Swami came and said, Manchi prayer, good prayer. And so since Swami liked it, and everybody liked that, and so for me it was even more double confirmation that this should be. So I practiced really hard with that prayer. I was in perfect peace and everything was going fine until a few years later I got a chance to speak again in front of Swami. And since I had many chances to speak, I would stagger my experiences or stories or something anecdotes over a good number of years. So I said, it's a long time since I chanted that prayer in front of Swami, and now maybe it's time to repeat it. Otherwise Swami saying prayer. So many years later, after speaking, I chanted this. I said, Swami, make me an instrument of thy peace. Next day he came. Came to make me and the order chest out. He walks to me, he said, who are you to order me? Make me. I looked at, I can't say that's printed on a book. I just looked at Swami. I said, didn't you like this before? What is going on? Came to make me. Everyone know. Who are you telling me? May I check? May I check? Then he gave me an example. He said, when you ask somebody, may I sit down? Okay, Swami. May I check? So I spoke in front of Swami. I said, may I be an instrument of thy peace? He was very happy. May I be an instrument of thy peace? Where there is hated, may I so love. Where there is injury, may I so pardon. May I is very happy. Towards the end, in Kodaikanal, 89, 90, I had one more chant. That day, every day we had to speak in front of Swami. So I had run out of material, so this prayer came up again. So, but I love saying that prayer in front of Swami. It's like, he's right there. It's the best way to do it. So at the end of it, I said, Swami, may I be an instrument, please. I took namaskar. I looked up. He said, Inka enta sepra beggar laga, may I? Always asking. He was like, how long? Even now, what is this like a beggar? Even now you're saying, may I? Like a beggar. Like a beggar. And then he came out with this beautiful statement. He said, when are you going to say, I am an instrument of that peace? Eppudu cheptava? I am ani eppudu cheptava? Cheppu, I am an instrument of that peace. Start saying that. So this gradual progress over the years and this final affirmation, this is such a beautiful message Swami starts saying. You wait to become an instrument. The becoming is always around the corner. I want to become spiritual. When is the becoming going to be the being? When am I going to be spiritual? That can happen right now. I want to become divine. You know what? That becoming is always around the corner. The more you go after it, the more it will be. Because it's always going to be the becoming stage. Start saying I am, and then it will start making sense. And from that day, I've always said this, I am an instrument of that peace. Where there is hatred, I so love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. From this moment on, I will not seek to be consoled as I will seek out to console. I will not seek to be pardoned as I will seek out to pardon. I will not seek to be understood as I will seek out to understand. For it is in giving that I truly receive. It is in pardoning that I am truly pardoned. It is in dying that I am born to eternal life. Once you start saying I am, then things start making sense. But if you think there is something to come later, then you're postponing the gift that is waiting for you. I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. Swami is giving this mantra. I am God. Not I will be God, or make me God, or may I become God. I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. If that becomes our mantra, I think, as the Gita said, Krishna said, my most favorite among devotees is the Jnani. He's the one who is self-realized, who starts identifying himself with me. He is my devotee. If we need to become instruments of Bhagavan, then we need to start breathing like him, thinking like him, loving like him, being like him. I know this sounds blasphemy and heresy. How can I be like Bhagavan? It doesn't make sense, but just start saying, like he started saying, I have a mission to fulfill. Start saying, I have a mission in life. I have a purpose in life because I am divine. And the purpose will unfold. The mission will unfold. Maybe you'll end up only taking care of your child. But the way you will take care of your child, who knows, you will be nurturing a Jesus there. You'll be nurturing a saint there who will transform the whole world. You may not change the whole world. You may not start a mega $1 million hospital. You may not, nobody will know you, but you might be a mother of a child or a father of a child who might be the one who will change the world because he was brought up in purely spiritual environment. Who knows? Who knows that child's child? Imagine Bhagavad Vahini was written, and when? 2 generations later, right? It was a grandson of Arjuna who heard the story of Krishna. He didn't even see Krishna, but it was a grandson. So who knows where the spark that Swami lights, where it will go and take in your family. But each family has that potential. Each devotee has that potential to carry that light and pass it on to further generation. And in that sense, we are all instruments. We don't need a podium to speak. Some may be given a podium to speak, some may be given a child to nurture. Some may be given a kitchen to cook food. Who knows what it is? But in that, if you see that as your purpose, as your mission, then your career falls in place. Your relationships fall in place. There's no place for ego, because now you're doing God's work and you're obeying God's works. And his thoughts, his words and deeds become one with you. One final story before I sing my favorite sloka of Adi Shankara, which is called Shivoham, which is I am Shiva. The final story I want to share is, we were all sitting at Swami's feet in summer, one summer holiday, and Swami was forcing us to leave and go home. He said, everybody has to go, everybody has to go, everybody has to go. He said, no, no, Swami, no, Swami. That is usually the summer drama. And invariably Swami said, okay, who wants to stay, stay. And many of us never really went back. But that particular summer, Swami was insistent everybody should go. So he even took out 500 rupee note and put it in everybody's pocket. He went around, we didn't want to take it. If we take it, sudu, double this kutta, he said. So we just, Swami kept putting in each other's pockets, go, buy ticket and go home. So finally we just kept quiet because we knew Swami really wanted us to go. But then Swami asked each one of us, no Chefta, what will you do? What will you do? What will you do? What will you do? And so some of us said, Swami will sing bhajans and go to Sai Singha, we'll speak about Swami. All that, one by one, somebody said something. And Swami listened like this, he kept nodding. Then he said, he said, I'll tell you a small story. And he used the analogy of people from Puttaparthi, Kottacheru, which are nearby villages. So he said that it was an evening when a group of villagers from Puttaparthi went to Kottacheru to watch Burakatha. Burakatha is a folk dance, drama kind of thing. It's a folk entertainment where groups of people, those days there was no TV, right? So groups of people will go set up a stage and they will entertain people or sing God's names and everything. So Swami said a group of villagers from Puttaparthi went to Kottacheru to watch this drama. In the night it was so dark that while returning they lost their way. They didn't know where to go, they didn't want to go through the fields because they were scary of snakes and also they didn't know how to go. It was so dark that they lost their way. So as they were debating, Kidapola, they should go this way or that way, they heard dogs barking at a distance. And so half the people in the crowd told that the other half, hey, those are our dogs. I can recognize them. That must be the village in that direction. Let's go there. The other half said, wait a minute. It doesn't, are you sure? I can hear some howling too there. So who knows it's jackals, it's not jackals, it's dogs. So somebody said, hearing the dogs bark, there was more confusion. Then they kept walking, and then somebody said there was a street lamp. And then under the street lamp, there was a fork in the road. And they knew which paths to take, and they reached me. Then he looked at us. He said, how did they find the way back? With street lamp. Did the street lamp sing bhajans? No song. Did the street lamp give speeches? Go this way, this is your home, go this way. No song. What did it do? It just did its duty of giving light. And seeing the light, people knew where to go. And he told us, I want you to be street lamps, not street dogs. Your life is my message. So, in being a Sai devotee, in accepting Swami in our lives, we need to find out what is this lamp that is burning within me. I am becoming a street lamp. Then my thought, my word, my actions, my life becomes, automatically you become an instrument. You don't have to worry about who's getting convinced and who's not getting convinced. Should I talk, when my friends ask me about Swami, what do I say? Let it be, let your life speak your faith. Let your actions speak your faith. Let your thoughts reflect your faith. You don't have to convince anyone. Let us not chase numbers. Somehow we are caught up in this game. Oh, after Swami went away, the numbers have come down. Swami would often say, once in a while it is good to clean. You know, the Swami would give an example of the farmer who would stand on the top of the stool and what do you call that? Free the husks from the grain, sifting or seed. So he'd say it's good. Let those who want to go. It's okay. Balkanma, that's okay. But that's part of the cleansing process, if you will. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there are 5 people sitting at the altar, but let that 5 people be completely immersed in Swami. That's why I said yesterday that he didn't go for numbers, but the numbers came after. He started in a place where even there were no roads to go. He made it difficult for people to come to his ashram. He said, when they want God, let them come searching for it. But look at what it became. It's become a world pilgrimage center now. So let us carry Swami in our heart in that and understand the essence of who he was. He's come to awaken us, to make us realize that we are also children of God. And we deserve the highest knowledge, and that's why he's given us the mantra, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. And the more we say that, the more we bring him closer to us. And rather than putting him up in the altar, we bring him closer and make our heart an altar. We make our body an altar. We make this temple, and then he begins to live here. And this altar you can carry with you everywhere. Whether you're sleeping, whether you're in the shower, whether you're watching a movie, whether you're whatever, wherever you are here. And as long as you keep the flame of Sai and love in your heart, you feel the blessings, you feel guided, and you feel your life being sanctified. And it's my earnest prayer that Swami blesses us, and I know he does. His doors are always open. He always says, the sun is always ready to come pouring forth, just open the window. He gives us that ability to open our little windows so that the light of the divine can come and sanctify our lives and energize us, empower us, irrespective of what age we are, young, old, irrespective of our positions in life, irrespective of where we think we are in spirituality, whether we are, oh, you are up there, I am low here, that is all in our imagination. Irrespective of that, let him come and bless, allow him to bless your life, allow him to bless your children through you, allow him to bless your community through you, reach out into the community. The Sai organization to reach out into the community, mingle with the community. People should say, wow, these are Sai devotees, it's so much fun working with them. Go out and, because that is love. Love, do that because that's your true nature. That's your true nature. Service becomes service when it becomes your attitude to serve. If you don't help at home and say, Mom, I can't help you right now, I've got a project to go, I have committed to that project, that's not service. Take care of your family first, your duties first, and then add on more. Swami used to never say, you always say hands in the society, head in the forest. Never give up your duty, which you're asked to do, because your head is in the forest. You understand what I'm saying? That's why he never encouraged monks. One day I had the audacity, Swami asked me, what do you want to become? I said, Swami, I want to become like you. It meant I want to teach spiritual wisdom. Of course, Swami later on said, you have to set an example. You know, martals or rather, when you become, he says you become an acharya through acharana. It says your actions is what make you as an acharya, not speaking. But the joke part of it, they said, oh, now you want this red robe? And so I just mind, because I always wanted to be a monk. Maya's not here, so I can do this. But Swami very beautifully said, Chudu, if you wear this, either people will stone you or they'll worship you. Nobody will listen to your words. They'll either worship you or they will stone you. It's almost like, look at me, this is what is happening to me. And in that same context, similar context, but in another occasion, Swami was asking me, Gattika Matradu, and when you speak from the heart. I said, yes, Swami, I'll speak, people get transformed. Then he started laughing so loudly, and Narasimhan was there. Swami looked at him, Chudu, he wants to transform people. For 62 years, I have been talking, nobody said transformation antada. Manchile paapam chey, nokudu chey. For so many years, I have been trying, nothing is happening. You want to give a speech and transform him. But he was sweet, he said, Paravalet, change, Paravalet, talk. He like, join the bandwagon. So Swami is aware, but yet, like a true master, he never gives up. A true teacher never gives up. A true parent never gives up on the child. He never gives up. Because that's his nature is to love. His nature, because he sees us as an extension. And the ultimate analysis for him is it's just a play of consciousness. I would like to end this beautiful 1.5-day retreat on this note. On this note that divinity is our birthright. And we are all the Shivas. We are all, Shiva here does not represent the God Shiva, but Shiva here represents the Shiva Tattva, the essence, just like Christ represents the essence of who Jesus was, or Krishna consciousness represents the essence of Krishna or Atma Rama represents the essence of who Rama was. The Sai represents the essence of who Satya Sai was. Shiva here represents the essence of who we are. Shivoham. Shivoham. Adi Shankara was 12 years old. He didn't go to any SSC. 12 years old. He was acting as if he knew everything. His mother was, this is a story because his mother was thinking, this audacious child, they think they know everything. So she took him to Govind Bhagat Pada, who was then a very renowned teacher. Those days getting into a teacher's hermitage, admission was difficult even then. Always India has got something to do with admissions. Always difficult. So she said, please teach him something. So this Govind Bhagat Pada looks at this young boy and says, I don't have time for you. What is it that you know? You should know at least something for me to start teaching. Otherwise, how will I? So he asked this child, what do you know that I can even begin teaching you? This young child touches the feet of the master, sits down, looks at him. Again, with knowledge comes humility. He looks at him and sings 6 verses, which has now become the Nirvana Shatakam. The 6 verses, the song of liberation. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham nacha strota jikvi nacha grananite. I'm not a petty lion, I'm not a proud. This is the song I want to sing, the 6 verses. My request is to put aside whatever preconceived notions we have about who we are, whether we are the karma marga, or the bhakti marga, or the jnana marga, which path we are following. Let's put aside all that and simply enjoy this being the Shiva. Even if it doesn't make sense, just say I am the Shiva. I am. Just let's enjoy the next, it's about 12 minutes or so. Let's enjoy this being divine, being the Shiva. And in that, we have a chance of getting into this plane. We always said, I came down, I come down, and when I take off, I may not even have a handful of people. Why? Because people are ready to worship me, people are ready to do projects around me, they are ready to do buildings around me, but nobody is getting into my plane. Nobody is getting into my plane. What does that mean? It means nobody is following the highest. The master comes down to lift you up, not to bind you to this world, not to fix your worldly problems. That is incidental. If it does get fixed, it's incidental. If it doesn't get fixed, it really doesn't matter in our spiritual path. That's a learning, that's a stone which we are, that's a blessing. Any difficulty, any tribulations, any trial in our life is a blessing, believe it or not. However difficult the pill is to swallow, it's a blessing. You will always end up being grateful. Open your heart to that blessing, even if it doesn't make sense. But he comes to lift you up, to take you where he comes from, to give you the bigger joy. And like little children who are stuck to that video game and who throw tantrum and he says, time for dinner. They say, Mommy, please, you can't do this to me. That's what we're doing, Swami. No, Swami, I want my job, I want this. We want this false sense of security that we are clinging to, that video game. That's called the adrenaline pumping. We are into this race. We are like, oh my gosh, my world will fall apart. Nothing falls apart. He just comes to wake you up. And that process of awakening is tough because we don't want to let go of this. It's so convenient. It's become so comfortable. It's a comfort zone. Spirituality, a true master always takes you out of the comfort zone. We call it tests, we call it tribulation, whatever we want to call it. We're asking for it in our prayers, we're asking for it. But once you go out of that and you learn to trust him, and just surrender to him and say, you know best, take hold of me. Once you allow him to pull you out, then you are grateful. You're like, oh my gosh, thank you, I'm so much more better now. So much more better. So it is in that respect I want to offer this song at Bhagwan's feet. And I want us to all, between each stanza I sing Shivoham. So you are all free to join in and chant Shivoham. Could we put out the switches so if somebody wants to please look at Swami's picture? Can we?
Not the altar.
That one, not the altar. You can keep the order. Shivoham, 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 Mano Buddhya Hankara Chitta Ninaham. Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittaninaham Na cha strotra jive Na cha grana netre Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittaninaham Na cha strotra jive Na cha grana netre. I am not the petty mind. I am not the proud intellect. Neither the mighty ego nor the minute thought am I. Touch and hearing, taste and seeing, I am not these sensual feelings. I am not the element of earth. I am not the elusive ether. Neither the fierce fire nor the wailing wind am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittaninaham Na cha strotra jive Na cha grana netre Na cha vyoma na tejo na vayu chidananda rupah shivoham shivoham chidananda rupah shivoham 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 Na cha prana sankhyo na pancha vayu Na cha prana sankhyo na pancha vayu Nava saptada I am not the vigorous breath, I am not the vital airs, neither the ailing elements nor the astral sheets am I. Organs of action and chain reaction, like the hands, the feet, the mouth and conversation, none of these depraved organs am I. I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. Na cha prana sankhyo na pancha vayu Nava saptadatur Nava pancha kosha Nava padipadam Na chopasta vayu Nava padipadam Na chopasta vayu Chidananda rupa Shiva शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न मे द्वेषरागौ I am bound to no worldly attachments. I am averse to no earthly entrapment. Greed, envy, vanity, aversions, these phantoms bind me not to delusions. I aspire not for any duty, nor to acquire any property. No, not even cherish the desire for liberty, cause I am truth, consciousness, divine bliss. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. I am the Shiva am I. न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः न धर्मो न च अर्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 न